Welcome back from that. Like I told you, we are discussing the Chief of Army Staff's relocation to Benue State, and in the studio with me is Dr. Steve Okwori, who is a security consultant and expert. Again, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is mine, actually. But let's talk about this symbolic gesture of strategic game changer. I mean, a lot of people have looked at it as a game changer, a strategic game changer. Nigerians asked, I remember some made fun of this whole issue of relocating to these flashpoint and volatile areas. Do you think, what do you think about this move?
The move, for me, it's not a surprise. I am interested in the outcome, because this is not the first time we are seeing a relocation of service chiefs, even ministers, to a particular geopolitical zone. I recall that some couple of months ago, the president gave the chief of defense staff and the minister of defense state that they should go fish out Bello Truji in the northwest region, Zamfara specifically. And you and I, your guess is as good as mine.
What has happened with
what has happened? Yeah, but with regards to Benue, I see is a strategy. Of course, strategy is an act of planning and directing.
Absolutely.
When it has to do with military operations. But in this strategy, is it a strategy that will yield the desired result? Why am I asking? Because, yes, it's a good thing for the Chief of Army Staff to relocate to Benue. One of the reasons why I say it's good is because he will boost the morale of the troops, right? His presence will motivate them and all that. But the other way, I'm worried about the publicity. Yes, I'm worried about the publicity, because you are going to an enemy's terrain, so to say. These are criminals, killers that are in Benue. You have announced your relocation.
Right.
So that's my worry about the strategy.
So what's wrong with announcing your relocation? Because I should expect that with the announcement, it would ward them off. I understand what you mean. Maybe not necessarily a long-term solution. Where are they living if there's going to be this coordinated attack towards them?
My worry about the publicity is that the news will definitely get to the criminal elements.
Absolutely.
And you think that they will be there waiting for you. As you are coming, they are retreating. They are finding their way back, possibly cross the borders into other states. But meanwhile, your scope is within Benue, right? So in the event where you can't find them within Benue, it means that you won't cross to other states where they have also relocated to. So as you are announcing your relocation to Benue,
they have also re-strategized.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Was it even possible for his person as the Chief of Army Staff to get to relocate to Benue discreetly? Is that something that could have happened?
Exactly. There's a possibility of carrying out a covert operation, right? They could be clandestine about their operations. It's not everything that you come to the media to say, right? A year and a half ago, when I did my thesis on kidnapping for ransom, I interviewed a kidnapped victim, and he told me that while they were in the forest somewhere in Kaduna, the bandits or criminal elements had radio in the bush there. They also listened to
they were listening.
Exactly, right. And of course, you and I know that these killings or these criminals have sponsors. Sponsors, some of them are not known. Some of the sponsors live amongst us that are also privileged to get this information. Once they get this information, they can pass it to these there are foot soldiers out there that are killing Nigerians, defenseless Nigerians that are going about their lawful businesses. So I would have, as a strategist, I would have wished that it wasn't in the public space.
But does it address this relocation? Does it address the core flaws within the response of his relocation beyond the publicity you talked about?
His relocation for me, will only boost the morale of the soldiers in the front line, right? Yes, our boss has come to join us, talk to them, motivate them, make them committed to the cause or why they are there in Benue, right? And beyond that, I just feel that for the aim to be achieved, right, you take these criminal elements unaware. I would have preferred that strategy.
Right.
Take them unawares, get them, take the battle to them wherever they are, whatever the bush or the forest where they are, you take the battle to them.
Do you think this efforts came with good intelligence gathering? Because a lot of us, I'm not a security expert, but from where I'm sitting, I don't think I just looked at it and thought it was for photo ops, because the chief of army staffs getting there does not improve intelligence gathering, which is what would have necessitated a better affront towards these criminals. Do you think it would also improve information gathering?
Yes. The chief of army staff mustn't necessarily be in Makurdi or Benue for the work to be done. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. He mustn't necessarily be in Makurdi, because he has his arsenals, he has his commanding officers and all that are in the front line, that are there to do the bidding of the chief of army staff. The chief of army staff has a vision. He has a mission. The moment he came on board, his vision and mission were out there. So they must have to, carry out operations within the vision and the mission of the chief of army staff. So his presence for me, just the way I said, one is just to see how to motivate the soldiers in the front line. Beyond that, I don't think he needs to be on ground in Benue State for the soldiers or the officers to do their own part of, or their own bit of the job, right? Somebody said that if you are connected spiritually with God, you can say your prayers here while the person gets healed in London, right? So he can at first sit in Abuja
and ensure that his men are at work.
Exactly. So going there, yes, just the way I said, is to boost the morale of the soldiers, but I didn't like that information got to the media. Okay.
I mean, you had constantly criticized reactive deployment.
Yes.
And this, in some way, is similar to that.
Exactly.
Now, moving forward, what kind of operations would you like to see with his presence there that would mitigate the many challenges security-wise that the Benue people have been facing over time?
Now, it's unfortunate that we are talking about internal crime. And internal crime, the mandate about our handling internal crime, it has to do with the police. It's the police mandate. It's within the police responsibility to handle internal crime. Now we're not even talking about the police. We're not even talking about the IGP in this case. The police now have become so overwhelmed that the military, the army has taken over their responsibilities. Right. The IGP is in Abuja. The chief of army staff has relocated to Benue. What is the IGP doing in Abuja? Right. The chief of army staff has taken his responsibility.
Exactly.
And for me, it's not something that we should be looking that way at all. It means that the police have become so weak. For me, they have become so redundant, if you ask me. Because I cannot find myself in a situation where issues that has to do with internal crime clearly is for the police to handle. For the police,
exactly.
But we're not even talking about that. Now, when you go to the National Assembly, you hear members of the National Assembly saying that the service chiefs, are they living up to expectation? If they are not living like the ones before these ones, and that they were asking for those ones to resign because they were not. Meanwhile, nobody was talking about the IGP, right? So I think that we should not continue to weaken the police. It's the responsibility of the police when it has to do with internal crime. If they are overwhelmed, it's not for them to go and to step aside or go sit aside. It's for them to call for the military to complement their effort.
Okay.
But right now we're not even seeing that.
But we've had this conversation before where we talked about how overwhelmed the Nigerian police force is, the reforms that's necessary to energize that sector. What are we doing to ensure that? I know there had been steps.
There have been steps.
Or proclamations.
Yes. Now, in handling these issues, crime is local. You can't take that away. This crime, these violent attacks, killings of people and all that happen in our rural communities. And I've told you in your show like this, times to time number, that our local communities where our forests and bushes and mountains are situated are in our local communities. in these our local communities, we don't have security presence. It is no longer news. We don't have security presence in our rural communities. And this is where these attacks happen, right? What do we now do to see that there is presence of security in our rural communities? I think we are already aware of the problem. We know the problem. Now the solution to the problem, and that is why I want to commend President Tinubu for towing this path that we should have National Forest Guards.
Guards, okay.
You understand? Because from the way I am looking at it, it's contained in his manifesto. And I think he's one of the presidents that understands our security situation, and he's trying to see how to address some of the challenges to a very large extent. I think he has seen that there is no presence of security in our rural communities, and that is why contained in his manifesto is the establishment of National Forest Guards, which of course he has approved the going ahead of recruiting about 130,000 officers or personnel. But now, we are talking, I don't know if you are aware that there's the Nigerian Forest Security Service.
Okay.
The same mandate that he is trying to bring on board with the one that he's trying to establish now, that same mandate the Nigerian Forest Security Service also has. Provide security in our forested region. Our forests are situated in our rural communities. If they have this mandate of providing security for our forested regions, they have the capacity of providing local intelligence, right, to our conventional security agencies or agents like the police, the military, and the likes. Because I watched Major General Nicholas Rogers on, what do you call it now, Arise, during the Plateau killings, and he said that it was poor intelligence for him that was the bane. Yes, right. Poor intelligence, and that the military needs local intelligence to function. Now, which of the agencies, security agencies of government that we have that provides local intelligence? The answer is no, we don't have any. Now, when you bring this Nigerian Forest Security Service on board, it becomes part of the security architecture of this country. And they are situated, or they live within their communities, right? They are recruited from their communities. Some of them are retired soldiers, some of them are retired police, trained by the police, the military, and the civil defense, and the DSS agencies, security agencies. They have trained them. Now they live and work within their rural communities. When it has to do with response, you know, because this reaction, always being reactive, not confronting these criminals, emboldens them. Because when they come, they strike, they kill people, and they go scot-free. They retreat back into the forest, hibernate there where they have turned into a safe haven, right? They retreat into the forest, regroup, come back. Once they go into the forest, our own conventional security agents will now react. When they react, they are there for like 1 week or 2 weeks. They come back, they withdraw them back. These guys come back again. Exactly. And I keep killing these people. How do we now address this issue of confronting these people each time they come out? It's by having a local security structure on ground, right? So that they can stand in the gap. The gap is that there's no presence of security in our rural communities. And if you don't address that gap, we will continue to have these killings, and the perpetrators will continue to go scot-free, right? So you must have that local structure on ground, the Nigerian Forest Security Service. What the president is trying to do is like conceiving a new baby. When you already have one on ground that you can even adopt, it's for them to adopt this already existing security local structure that had passed through all the rigorous processes of being established at the National Assembly, waiting for the president to give his assent. Right. So we don't have time. Nigerians are killed on a daily basis, and there's something on ground that can try and bring some solutions to the issues.
What's going on?
Yes, and they want to play politics with it. So my advice is for Mr. President to look at the bill establishing the Nigerian Forest Security Service. His advisors, the National Security Advisor, and every other person that are working with him when it has to do with security. Right. With that, we'll have a roadmap. There's a path that we can to see how to address these issues.
That's very interesting. We've had trained conventional security agencies not do a good job when it comes to intelligence gathering because distrust now comes in. How are you sure that it won't also seep into this forest guards that you claim will come from the people, but does that not also expose them even further?
No, I don't think so. You see, we are talking about community policing here. You know, community policing is a philosophy that has to do with constant interaction between the members of the community or public with our security agents.
Trained by maybe the police?
No. They are not, no. Community policing is an idea.
No, I'm talking about these forests
Okay,
that
trained by
who
the
are
police.
going to be trained by this same police
yes,
that
yes.
have done such a terrible work in relating well with the community and the citizens.
Yes, the police, it's not only the police that trained the Nigerian forest security officers. The military also trained them.
Okay.
The DSS also trained them.
The entire architecture.
Yes, they trained them, right. So I think that as it stands, they are even more equipped when it has to do with the knowledge. The training did not just come from the police alone. So they have even more advantage than the police. The police, you can see that their own training is restricted within the police. But this Forest Security Service, they got more additional trainings from the military, from the DSS, and also from the civil defense, right? And they are working in synergy with the NDLA and the customs and other security agencies. So I think that the rural areas is where crimes are more carried out, right? When you see smugglers, for instance, they try to look out for
those areas where they can easily hide.
Exactly. So when you bring such a local structure on board the security architecture of this country, I think that that's a normal thing to do in addressing this issue. Seriously, sincerely speaking, right? Once we do that, because we're talking about solutions here. People are killed, people that go about their lawful businesses are killed on a daily basis. Defenseless people, they are not carrying arms. These people come, kill them at will for just no cause. And you expect that we should just continue like this. Nigerians are tired of these condolence messages, giving them message of hope. Enough really is enough and order. You know, and people are killed daily. As I'm speaking to you yesterday, a lot of people, about just the way you said, about 38 of them were killed in some part of Tiv land and Idoma land. There's a part of Tiv land that almost 100 trucks of yam comes out of that place on daily basis. Right now, you don't get that. Benue State is no longer the food basket of the nation. So if Benue is caught in the web of insecurity and has reduced a lot of farming activities, then you know what, of course,
the food security for the entire nation.
Yeah. You know, so I think that it's important that the government sit down to go back to the drawing board, because they said the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, according to a Chinese proverb.
Yeah.
Another best time is now. If we have missed the opportunities of addressing these issues before, I think it is high time we wake up from pretending to sleep. Right. So that we'll face the thing head on.
Now, when you look at the issues we have in the places like Benue, Plateau State, is quite peculiar. Would you say this would solve that issue? Would we have the sufficient manpower necessary to man these communities? Our communities, naturally or geographically, is often porous.
Exactly.
Right. Now, do we have the manpower when we are complaining that the police, for instance, has only 44,000?
No. They have about almost 400,000.
400,000. And 40,000, 440,000 men on the booth. Do we have Nigerians who would very well want to come on board this, as dangerous as it is?
Yes. You see, there are a lot of Nigerians that are out there that want to get into the job, right? But do they even have the opportunity? That's one thing, right? You see, for you to get into a security organization or agency, you must see that you have passion for the job. But you see, the problem that we have in this part of the world is that we have a lot of them that don't have passion for the job. They either want to get into the job because of lack of no job, or because they want to earn a living, they want to survive, right? But outside the shores of this country, you see a child growing up, and the child tells you that he wants to become a police officer or one of the security agencies, you know. So, but here, you see that they don't really have passion for the job. The next thing you see, a politician will drop a list when it's during a recruitment process and all that, and say, these are my constituents, get them recruited.
And all sorts
exactly. And that's why
opportunity.
we keep having bad eggs in the system. You know, some Nigerians that are in the system sabotaging the effort of government and of course the effort of the security agency that they are working for. You know, so a lot needs to be done. Due diligence during recruitment process, background checks and all that. We don't even do that anymore. These are global best practices that we expect that should be happening. Rather than we improving on our own, right? I have seen
institutional failures
exactly.
and reforms necessary that we have been hammering over and over again.
Exactly.
It's quite sad, but we often read about these people who come to attack with sophisticated weapons and all that. If we are still talking about weapons more sophisticated than the conventional Nigerian security agencies, what's going to happen to these individuals that you are once again going to expose? Do you think Nigeria is ready? Nigeria is going to bring effort. The government is going to bring the necessary effort and manpower and resources to equip them enough. It's one thing to say you're putting them out there, they're going to ensure better information and intelligence gathering. It's another thing to say, should there be impending attack, can they stand firm and foil that attack?
Now, you see, when it has to do with security, it is not cheap anywhere in the world. If you go to the US, India, China, and all that, look at their defense and security budget. You can even look at the number of manpower that they have. We have a population of almost 230 million in Nigerians, right? And we're talking about less 400,000 police officers, right? At the end, by the time you and I we'll sit down and do our workings here, look at the number of police officers that are providing security, personal security for VIPs, those in power, some wealthy Nigerians that have the capacity to hire the services of these security officers to provide security for them. By the time you do all that, look at embassies, government institutions, banks, and all. By the time you do all these workings, you discover that out of the less 400,000 that we have, more than half are already providing these services for these certain individuals or organizations. It means that you have another half that are out there to provide security
for the 200 million Nigerians.
So, of course, you know that capacity or that number is inadequate, right? Now, I expect that there's need for us to improve on the manpower, right? How well are we even using our technology in the fight against insecurity? There are places like in the Plateau recently, during the last crisis, the senator representing Plateau North, or what's his name, Senator Lalong, he was disappointed at the excuse or the reason the military gave to him why they couldn't get into the community where the criminal elements were attacking the citizens there. They talked about proximity, the terrain. They couldn't have access to, as in no access road and all that. How can we in this 21st century we are talking about
that you have to actually literally physically go to all these places?
Why do we have choppers? Don't they have choppers? Why do we have drones? Why are we spending all this money? The number of minutes or hours it would take somebody to get into a particular community, it would take a chopper less than 10-15 minutes to get there. So why are they asking for all this, and the government is making effort to provide this equipment for them, and they are telling us about proximity, right? So a lot needs to be done. The budget of defense and security budget in this current 2025 appropriation bill, how much is it? Over 4.96 trillion or so. Now, it is not about what is contained in the budget for me. We have the resources. Nobody should tell us that we don't have the resources. If you look at the resources, one Nigerian finds his or herself in one office and
often embezzles.
Yes. So you discover that this money is there for us to spend. And once we have the opportunity to spend this money judiciously, for the purpose,
improvement.
Yes, for the purpose why that money is contained in the budget. It is in this part of the world that you see 7 military police officers become millionaires while in service. Outside the shores of this country, they become millionaires when they leave service. They come as consultants, military contractors. That's why they pay them heavily. But in Nigeria, you see them...
Even in service, and they flaunt it in your faces.
They flaunt it. And you see them with buildings, structures, plazas, hotels in choice areas in Abuja, Lagos, and the other part of the country. Right? Why should we have ourselves? Why are we not changing the narrative, whereby the expenditure of defense and security should be checked or proved? It has become a norm that we should not look at their records or books. Why should it be like that? We have the National Assembly that has the constitutional responsibility, section 88 of the Constitution, empowers the National Assembly members to carry out oversight functions on as ministries, departments, and agencies, including the military and the police.
Absolutely.
And we have committees on defense, army, and the other security agencies. Why are they not carrying out effective oversight function? And oversight function, for me, exposes inefficiency, exposes corruption, right? We are in this Nigeria where terrorists came to attack the Kuje prison.
And freed
terrorists there.
Exactly.
And the Senate president then, Ahmed Lawan, was on national television. He said he was shocked that the CCTV cameras were not working in that Kuje prison. So just imagine a prison that houses high-profile offenders.
Does not have a
They don't have a
CCTV.
functional CCTV camera. So what are we saying? Why do they have these committees? Are they oversighting into their pockets? Because Nigerians say they oversight into their pockets and they are not interested in what happens. They go collect brown envelopes. So we shouldn't find ourselves in this situation. We know what to do. If we have the political will to do what we need to do to address these insecurity issues in the country,
We know what to do.
We know what to do.
Well, it's time to go for a very short break. We still have so much to discuss. The Chief of Army Staff had proposed what he called the border fencing proposal. We'll get into all that, not to mention integrating community in this security fight, technology as well. Just earlier today, the Chief of Army Staff had proposed what he called border fencing, and we have been asking if this is even feasible or just a fantasy. Remember that Nigeria has over 3,000 kilometers borders, just like other countries like Saudi Arabia, with bandits crossing freely. Is this a tactic necessary, or just a $10 billion distraction from the intelligence reform we really need in Nigeria? We would also talk about the technology gap in the fight against banditry, kidnapping, and all sorts of security challenges that we face. Dr. Steve Okori is still right here with us to discuss all of this and more. Thank you again for being with us. But let's go. I think we should start with this, the technology gap that we have. You had started the conversation. I want you to continue from that flow where there's so much available to us, resources and innovations around technology. What's stopping us from harnessing and leveraging on all that's available?
I don't know what's stopping us. Because
if you do not know.
No, seriously. I am here to we're just here to have this conversation.
Right.
But right now, the operatives, it's now left for them. I think it's a deliberate thing. If they ask for certain technology and the government provides whatever they have asked for, and they are not leveraging on what the government has provided to work with, I want to believe that there are certain people somewhere within governments, within security agencies, that are being paid for failing in their responsibility. And let me give you an instance here. I'm a researcher as well. I took a research to service providers, MTN, Glo, and the other service providers, and I was curious to know, because on the social media space, you see videos of bandits, criminals, other sharing ransom collected from Nigerians. You see millions of naira on the ground.
Some of them chanting in excitement of what they have gotten. We've seen such those disturbing videos.
Exactly. Sometimes you see even victims being tortured, right? Little children, age 12, carrying arms, and I mean, I weep for this country. At that age, 12 years, 10 years, bearing arms. The arms, sometimes you see that they are even
heavier and bigger than them.
Right? Beating, torturing an adult on the ground. Now, my curiosity now was, this video, somebody from within them in that very forest or wherever they are,
sent it,
videoed that particular incident, right? So, the person that first posted, whoever, it's very possible to know the person that first posted that video, from which phone, the type of phone, and the network, and the location. And I asked, they now told me that it's not their responsibility, it's not within their mandate to tell me to look out for criminals. It is not within their mandate. They are just service providers. That it is the Office of the National Security Advisor and the other security agencies those ones is their mandate. And that this information that I'm trying to find out or look out for, that the National Office of the National Security Advisor can provide that information for me, that they have the equipment
Everything necessary.
Yes, in the office of the National Security Advisor, that will tell us the number that first posted that video and the kind of phone and the location. And meanwhile, we see these people, they do this thing, they go scot-free, we don't see where they are arrested, we don't... That's what I'm saying. I said some persons are somewhere in government, within security agencies, doing the job, failing to do the job, and they are being paid with taxpayers' money. Nigerians go to our forest, Nigerians are held hostage, right? Tortured, ransom paid. In Nigeria now, it has been criminalized that if you pay ransom, you go to jail.
You go to jail.
Minimum of 15 years.
But if you're caught as a terrorist, there is an option of
being tried in court.
Of being charged in court.
Or to be tried in court, or being asked to go and that you have repented.
Amnesty. There's an amnesty for such criminals.
Exactly. That you have repented, therefore you should go scot-free or go back and
reintegrated into society.
Right. So you cannot have inconsistencies when it has to do with punishment. XYZ does this, and you say the person has repented, and the person his sin or her sin has been forgiven.
But someone who has a victim of crime, who wants just to survive, would be penalized for trying to pay ransom.
What kind of system is that? It can't work. It can't work, right? Now, and I said, okay, if you have some persons that you said have repented, meanwhile, contained in the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Act, a section in that act says that in anywhere 1, 2, 3 persons are gathered and are having meetings that has to do with terrorism. You are only having meetings, not that you have gone to commit the act. Just mere having meetings. The minimum jail term is 20 years. Here we are talking about persons that have committed the act of killing people, turning children to orphans, killing children, killing women, killing adults and all that. Then at the end of the day, you have said they have repented. You have categorized them to, some of them, you say they are non-associated members, some of them are low risk, some of them are high risk. How did you categorize these people? You categorize them based on what they have come to tell you. It's as if me or you and I are going to see a doctor.
Exactly.
It's what we tell the doctor will work with. Right. So if you are doing your job in that Operation Safe Corridor and you have arrested, or some of them have come out willingly to say they have surrendered. They have
surrendered.
It is not even completely a willing thing. It's as a result of the firepower that the military is giving to them in the forest.
You surrendered because you could no longer fight.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, you say they are low risk, therefore they should go back and reintegrate them back into society.
That actually instigated some comments when they put side by side the IDP, people living in the most dilapidated situations. Those are victims of this terrorist act. We saw how they lived and how these people going through rehabilitation. Is that what it's called? Rehabilitation.
Yeah, that's what
in those facilities. We saw the facilities. We saw the shanties that the victims of crime are staying in, and then side by side they food this other group of people who are supposed to be repentant terrorists, where the kind of life they were living, it was really sad. And do you think this fuels further the distrust? And for those young people, I mean, you are an expert, children who have grown up in all of this, is there a danger in there, knowing that I was displaced, my parents were killed, my community was ransacked and sacked and burnt down in some cases, and yet these are the individuals. A lot of them often know the people who did it.
Exactly.
These are the individuals, and they are living free and eating fat.
So just imagine that immeasurable trauma that such a person will live with as long as the person is alive. Right? It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, we are in this country where some persons perhaps stole just chicken and they are kept in remand.
Oh, yes, for
as long as they are there. Right. So, but if you want to, if we have a country that truly has conscience, if you are saying that this set of people have repented, so therefore they should go back and reintegrate and continue their normal life after causing this disaster on families and on communities and all that. Now, the another question to ask is that, does this Operation Safe Corridor, does it really serve as deterrent.
For the people?
It doesn't serve as deterrent now, because they look at it that, no, if I go into it and commit this act of terrorism, I can come back and say I've surrendered. Then the government at the end of the day take me, pamper me. At the end of the day, after spending 5-6 months, I come out, they empower me.
Okay, so we're really running out of time, and I want us to address this border fencing that the Chief of Army Staff had proposed. What do you think? Because remember how huge our border lines are. So what do you think? Is it fantasy or it's doable?
I don't see it coming into reality. That's the fact. I think he just made that statement for the heck of it, right? Because do you know how large Nigeria is? Or they will choose some selected areas as fence and they will leave some areas. You know, what's the possibility of fencing the whole of Nigeria, or trying to see that you stop criminal elements or foreign criminal elements from coming into the country? Now, the fact is, we have security agencies that have different mandates. The immigration, their mandate is not for issuing of passports alone. They have the mandate of not allowing or ensuring that foreigners don't come into this country illegally. Are they living up to their mandate? The answer is no. We have customs.
But we've also, before you go to other parts of other security or other agencies, we've also had them tell you that Nigeria is porous. You can't man all the even foot entrances and exits into Nigeria. So what would you expect that the immigration service does to ensure, especially in these ungoverned spaces, how can you ensure criminals don't come in, terrorists don't come in, and have free access out?
You see, I am not expecting a utopian society where everything is perfect, right? But don't take away the fact that crime, a society without crime is abnormal. Do you know why? It's abnormal because if the government says this is the way to go,
everyone just falls in line.
No, everybody will not fall in line.
That's in a society without crime.
Yes, a society without crime is impossible.
Is impossible.
Yes, meaning that if a government says this is the way to go, we are governed by laws, rules, and all that, it's not expect everybody to go that path.
Right.
Others will go the other one. Those that go the other way are deviants. At the end of the day, they become criminals, right? So what I expect of government and security agencies is that we don't, rather than seeing reduction or prevention of crime, we are seeing escalation. So government security agencies are not supposed to give us excuses. That's their mandate. That's why they are being established. Just like civil defense commander telling me that they don't have resources to be able to protect critical government infrastructure. That is the reason why we are seeing that our manholes are stolen. That's an excuse. For failing it's our responsibility. Exactly. So when you fail, you don't keep confused. Of course, we know that we have porous borders. You are the agency that is saddled with the responsibility of providing security in these porous borders. You are not providing security. You are telling us that why should you give us that kind of excuse? The police.
I mean, it's only natural. We just talked about the technology gap. It's only natural if only technology will be deployed, but exactly. It doesn't seem to be happening.
But they should be blamed for that, because year in year out they come with budget. What is contained in the budget that they are presenting year in year out? Right.
Are Nigerians interested enough to even probe these budgets and the implementation of these budgets, especially when it comes to security? Because a lot of us advocate that, please let us ensure that the security sector is vibrant. We have the budget that reflects the needs of the agencies of government. But when that happens, do we get to probe it? Are we too afraid to probe this budget?
You know, I told you here that it has become a norm that military budgets are not probed, because this started from the days of the military when they were in government, when they were in power and all that. That's why I said it's not for us to continue with that narrative. If you say this money is for this, at the end of the day, we should come and check the books. Did you actually judiciously use this money for the purpose why it was appropriated in the first place? We should know. And that is why we talked here about seeing them becoming millionaires while in service. Where are they making their resources or getting their resources from? It's money meant for the purpose why there should be security in place. The AFCC, I've not seen anywhere AFCC is addressing officers while in service. They go after them when they are retired. Why should it be like that? right? We should change the narrative. And in changing the narrative, I think it will help us in getting the roadmap to addressing insecurity in this country. Right. We shouldn't look at it as if this is a way of life, this is the way it's expected in Nigeria. No. Let us change the narrative. Right. I know the effort that they are making in trying to provide security for Nigerians and protecting our territorial boundaries in the very challenges that we are experiencing. But there's need for us to check the records. Right, and that responsibility is for the National Assembly members. And we have some civil society organizations that are trying to see how to check the excesses when it has to do with budget implementation, if the resources are judiciously used for the purpose or another. But these civil society organizations, how are they just backing, or they are all backing and biting at the same time? Right. So a lot needs to be done in addressing this thing. By then, all hands must be on deck. It's not that we should just keep looking at these people and do their things their own way. No, it can't work like that. Because these resources are taxpayers' money. We should know what they are using. But we have seen in this country where fake bullets were imported. Right.
And you know, the unfortunate thing is these scandals come, Nigerians react, and that's it. Afterwards, we all go back and relax. But in the final analysis, I would like you to talk about finally what you should expect moving forward. I don't expect that we have crisis in Taraba. The Chief of Army Staff will relocate to Taraba. We are having one in Plateau State. The Chief of Army Staff relocates once again to Plateau State. But well, he has relocated to Benue State. It's become a flashpoint and we all understand it. However, in the final analysis, what do you hope to see moving forward and replicated in other parts of the country that are flashpoints for this kind of situation?
Now, what I expect is that when we want to work to see that we address the insecurity issues in the country, we must have to, first of all, work with integrity. Right. The people that are saddled with this responsibility, either in security agencies or in government, do they have the integrity? Are they doing what is expected of them? Are they doing what is right when nobody is watching them? Right. Because I think if we do what is right, if we do what is acceptable, if we do what is supposed to be in a country like this, Nigeria, we will get it right. But politics, appointments are made based on political patronage, corruption, favoritism, postings and deployment within the security agencies are done based on man no man, get a note from XYZ to the... It can't work. It can't work. Before 1999, these issues weren't there. Banditry, the way this current democracy, 1999 that came, that has named criminals and called them bandits, is banditry. Terrorism came in this Fourth Republic, kidnapping for ransom became got to its peak in this democracy. Before 1999, what were the issues, insecurity issues? Betesine came in 1985-86. It didn't take the military how many days or weeks
to flush.
Why are we dragging Boko Haram? This is getting to 20 years. And it takes us to the point where we are talking about lack of political will. People, senior officers are looking for how the lobby for them to be posted to Operation Lafayette Adole in Northeast. Why are you lobbying to be posted there? Why? If not because you want to go and make money.
Exactly.
So why should it be like that? So a lot is wrong. I know that we know the problem. We are aware of the problem. The solutions are there. It's for us to bring out the solutions. Now, solutions has become a problem. Why? The history of killings in Benue and Plateau did not start today. We have experienced it, and the reality is now. Are you saying that we cannot address these issues of killing? Who are these people that are killing us? Who are they? They have sponsors. The government is refusing to name them. A list came from Dubai in the last government of about 13, 14 sponsors of the terrorism in Nigeria.
In government.
Yes. So what happened to them? So we cannot continue to pretend around these things. These issues are real. It's for us as a government and as a people to confront these issues head on. Why are we pretending about it? Right. Why are you government? If government discovers who the sponsors are, why won't you name them? Why won't you shame them? For Nigerians to know. Why are you shielding them?
That leaves more questions than answers, but Dr. Steve Okori, thank you so much for being part of the show. You have exposed a system where courage on the ground and battle paralyzes the top. So we all need to put our hands together, bring our heads together, all hands on deck, whatever works for ensuring that our beautiful, arable land with potential and opportunity is indeed saved. Until next time, please hold government accountable for the things that we need, especially security. We need to sleep with both eyes closed. And if we have to ensure that with intelligence sharing, let us do that. We cannot afford to constantly record all the deaths happening. That is so avoidable. Thank you for watching. This is Joyasne Live. We'll be back next time.